This is my book review of the Book of Learning and Forgetting. My home page of the website I've created has a link to each of the components that we are to cover for this book review. So let's go to the summary page. The author of the Book of Learning and Forgetting has done a good job of bringing out a new perspective on learning, that it doesn't have to be all work and no play, or task-oriented versus it being a natural occurrence that can be enjoyable. He contrasts those ideas through his naming an alternative new viewpoint called classic theory, as opposed to the more ingrained official theory. The official theory embraces logic, results, working, procedures, and such. The classic theory is relationship and experience-based, and is what Smith persuades us in the book to adopt as a new and better philosophy of teaching and learning. The book addresses these opposing ideas and shows us how we need to move away from methods of learning, such as organization, tests, data, evaluation, rewards, punishments, that are more drudgery and less motivating, and go more towards connections with others that are more experienced in an area for learning, so that we are motivated, energized, interested, and possibly actually enjoy what we are learning. One of the book's main and most important ideas is that collaboration and natural learning happens in social settings through interaction and activities, and it doesn't have to be a planned procedural occurrence in a traditional classroom format with a teacher, students, lectures, tests, etc. The book shows us there is a better way and makes suggestions on how to get society and culture to adopt this line of thinking. This is a good book for teachers, learners, and anyone who cares about learning in any environment. Next, we'll go to the big points of the book. One big point from the book is that there are conflicting theories on what learning is and how we do it. There is the official theory, which is the view that learning is work. And then there is the newer view introduced by the author named the classic theory. In this view, which challenges that thinking, it is believed that learning happens naturally and without putting much effort into it throughout our life experiences. There needs to be a disruption of the status quo on how teachers teach, or more importantly, how they view learning. This is true because that perspective is a main determining factor in choices and decisions when designing curriculum, creating standardized tests, planning classroom activities, grading, evaluating, and organization of materials and information. There have to be major steps made toward viewing learning as an organic experience and incorporating that thinking into the academic experience. The third point is that collaboration, teamwork, and most of all relationship are so important in learning. As the saying goes, no man is an island to himself. It is in the give and take, the discourse, the sharing of ideas, the shared experiences, and such related intermingling that learning takes place naturally and has the most impact on the learner. The fourth big point is that we have to focus on the student, the learner, rather than the means of testing or evaluating if they are learning. We must focus on the who, how, why, and when of learning instead of rote systems and analyzed processes. We have to make sure that understanding is a paramount outcome rather than repeatedly and not thoughtfully using procedures of memorization, drills, practices, standardized tests, and the like to ensure that learning is happening. Our fifth point is that we can liberate ourselves, our own learning, and our teaching beliefs by embracing the viewpoint of the classic theory. Our focus on people, not procedures, will ensure that we allow unforced learning to happen in the context of our interactions with others that we identify with, who can help us because of their knowledge and experience in the areas of learning that we are undertaking. I do recommend this book to those in the instructional technology program as well as to those in any other program. This book is about learning and how to best cultivate an environment and relationships that facilitate doing that in a natural way. This is in opposition to old ways of thinking where procedure is valued over understanding and collaboration. Anyone who is in the teaching or learning process, academically or otherwise, would benefit from the principles laid out in this book. It will help make any classroom or learning encounter a more interesting and enjoyable experience. Some of my favorite quotes from the book are the following. From page 9, "You learn from the company you keep." This quote is one I have always loved and taught to my own children. We can take a proactive stance in the who, what, where, when, why, and how of learning in our own lives by choosing who we spend time with and open ourselves up to. The second quote I like is from page 35, and it says, "You will never learn anything you want to learn if you are not confident about your learning ability." I love this quote because it is true in both school settings and in life. When I went back to college in my 40s after raising 3 kids, I told myself that I may not know everything I need to know, but I can learn anything. That was the attitude I took, and it helped me to tackle all the degrees that I've been able to attain, and am now working on some graduate certificates and another master's degree. The third quote that I liked was from page 54, and it says, "Anything that makes sense to us is integrated into our continually growing knowledge of ourselves and of the world, and it is never lost. It becomes a part of us." This statement is so true. Who we are is a compilation of all the experiences we have had, how we perceive those, and what we learn from them. We may have thought patterns in our adulthood because of understanding or our making sense of situations in our youth, and that information affected us. We therefore allowed it to become part of the fiber of our being. Number 4 is from page 83. "The good news is that learning is most effective when we voluntarily participate in an interesting activity. We should be less puritanical and look for ways to enjoy what we want to learn." I have always found it to be most rewarding and a much better learning experience when I am willingly participating in my own learning with a positive attitude towards what I am learning. When doing a project paper or assignment or whatever is required in a course, I try to pick some theme or idea that I have an interest in, and it always makes my learning experience more enjoyable. Lastly is from page 85. "It is not difficult to see how learning flourishes where there is interest, confidence, and understanding, and how it withers under boredom, trepidation, and confusion. If we do choose to approach learning with an attitude of it being a good experience, we try to bring into it our own interests, learning will happen more naturally and organically. We will be more open and therefore absorb what we learn. This in turn will affect the outcome of our learning experiences in positive ways. Some things we are required to learn are not in our realm of interest, but we can overcome negative emotions about it if we embrace what we are learning." Questions that this book brings up to me are, what to what extent will a change in thinking about learning affect not just the educational arena, but also the business, government, family, media, arts and entertainment, and religion spheres? There is always learning and evaluation going on in these areas of culture shifts, so how will a change in learning perspective cause those to grow, move, digress, or change in some way? Will changes in these culture areas be positive or negative, or a combination of both? And what are ways I can incorporate collaborative learning into my own life in more meaningful ways? You may contact me at this number or this email, which is found in my website, which I will attach the link with. Actually, I'll tell you now, it is learningandforgettingbookraeview.weebly.com, and it's at the contact page. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed the book review.